for
we're hired as musicians. You know, I feel that we don't really know enough about golf to have a qualified opinion. I mean, we've got, you know, as I said, 3 million people on Facebook. You know, over 1.5 million on Twitter, and I believe our views would directly affect even a proportion of those. And I would rather people would know us and remember our lyrics and quote our lyrics rather than our opinions
music
on
or
things.
what it's like to be on stage or how we get to where we are. We'll answer all that, but religion and things, those are so personal. I think everybody has their own path.
Nothing even kills a dinner or when you're hanging out with someone more than a political conversation or a religious conversation.
I think
it's a lead balloon in every single situation I've ever been in. It's horrible, and it's not. That's just a choice that we would tend to not bring up. Our personal choice is different. We're all quite different, you know. I probably would be quite spiritual in the sense I'd go deep into religion in the sense of what I would read and everything else, but I'm just not interested in throwing an opinion over anyways, because it's so opinionated that is someone out there is just going to be disagreeing. It's like, what's the point? It's a personal thing.
So many different views on it.
You know.
Right. Well, let me go back to the Beatles and Paul McCartney and all that, because when you were talking about your dad getting them burgers and chips or whatever it was in the day, he kind of came in the same sort of personal way to you guys.
Yeah,
that's right.
Actually, that's true. We were backstage and we were very, very nervous about what we were going to do.
You actually had the Irish flag and you were going, okay, I'll go on stage and I'll do this and I'll do that, and he was kind of running through the options, and then boom, on the door, and the door opens and there's the man himself, and I swear to God we all got Tourette's and we can't actually say the words
but the funny thing was, before he'd arrived, and the whole conversation actually was, how do you address Paul McCartney? Macca, you know, Sir Paul,
do you curtsy, do you
Paul,
bow, what do you do?
what do you do? What do you call him? Does his mates just call him P? What do you do? And then he just walked into the dressing room with absolutely no security, no entourage, just him. And because it was so shocking to us, we all got Tourette's and F-bombed, if you know what I mean.
We were literally just talking about what to say when he walked in, and there he was, and we were like, oh my God, we were all just like, and he was like, how's it going, guys? How you feeling?
Yeah, it was really good.
He spent about a half an hour chatting to us, in a way it was such a blessing for us, because we were quite nervous to go on to such a big audience, and for him to come in and give us that time, and he's like, how do you feel about doing the bigger stuff? Have you done this type of gig before? Do you know what you're going to say, or how you're going to approach the audience? You're better off inviting them into your world. He was brilliant.
He was absolutely he was absolutely amazing. And even we played maybe 6 shows with him throughout America, and every single time and every single show he made an effort to come over and hang out and talk to us. I was even in Atlanta at one point, and I'm thinking, it's hot, it's muggy outside, he's just you know, he's every right to stay in an air conditioning building and just stay away from us, you know. And he was out there having the laugh, just hanging out, and like anyone else.
Such a great lesson to see somebody that's so high up in the game and such royalty in music to be so nice and down to earth and grounded. It was a great lesson for me not to see that.
Yeah, and also to do that kind of thing, like discussing about bringing the audience in and all that. I presume that was all very useful.
Well, the big one, I think it changed us as a band, if I'm being honest.
Really?
Yeah, because you have this thing when you're in a young band. You think that your presence, when you take us from a small show, maybe 200 people, 1,000 people that we're used to, and put us in front of 55,000 people, we think everything has to get bigger, our voices have to be louder. You're forgetting there's microphones, there's amplification, there's all around you. And he just said to us, you know, I think the opposite way around. I think I invite them in to my world. I don't think I need to project anything. So I just let these microphones and these amplification pick what I do up, you know, and tell them a story. Say, you know, before a song, tell them a little story about the song and things like that. And our songs are so story based that it just became apparent to me that sometimes when we're not playing songs on stage and we're just telling a story about the song, that's as powerful as the song sometimes. Yeah.
And he's so laid back. His warm up was no warm up. His dressing room was across from us, and he got out onto a little golf buggy with his bandmates, and they were all singing. What were they singing then?
Hey Jude.
Hey Jude. All having a buzz and a laugh.
To hear him just in the corridor on the guitar, just singing Hey Jude.
Good.
Oh,
it was so nice.
It was incredible, you know.
We were expecting a whole serious vibe, but he just came out and they were all smiling and having the crack, and he jumped on the oak and singing and smiling.
Do you remember when he followed through with his word, and he was on stage, and there was one point, like 80,000 people going crazy, Shea Stadium's alight with, you know, fireworks and everything. And then he goes, you know what, this next song I wrote about what I would say to John if I seen him today. And the whole place went silence. Absolute
everyone wants to know what would
yeah.
that conversation be.
And he started the song, and the hairs on the back of my neck stood up, and I was like, you know what? You could have had anything. You could have spent £1 million on trying to silence everybody, but that 1 or 2 sentences did it. and that's he has a way with words.
There was
it was really a masterclass.
There was a surreal moment where he was talking to Mark, wasn't he, about John Lennon? So what was that?
He was just chatting to me about how him and John would record. And
yeah, of course you'd be really interested in
that.
that.
I'm. It's a dream conversation I'm having, you know. But I didn't realise that I'm trying to listen to him, but I have a narrator constantly going on my head going, when he says, well, me and John will take the thing upon, I'm thinking, that's John Lennon. You know, in my head all the time. I'm trying to stop him, my narrator, my mind from talking, because I just want to listen to the man, you know.
Yeah.
But he's so good, and he told us loads, even recording process that we've tried on this record, we tried because Paul gave us a little advice on what him and the Beatles did and stuff like that. You know, it was really nice to just sit down with one of your heroes, because you say don't meet your heroes, but in this case it was absolutely amazing.
And he signed one of his tour booklets for my mum and dad and said, you know, thanks for loaning your boy. It was classic. They have a frame up on the wall at home. Yeah.
Fantastic. Yeah, fantastic. How do you cope with fame? Is it a problem? Or I mean, I presume since you did The Voice, that you would be more
kind of ramped up a bit,
recognised in well, certainly I presume in Britain, but here also.
Yeah, I mean, beforehand, I guess Ireland has always been a place where you know, they've kind of celebrated the script, but in the UK, it's been a little tougher. You know, we've enjoyed in massive record sales, but not a lot of people would have known, because we're quite a faceless band. We don't ever try and push ourselves forward as an image or anything like that, because we like the music to speak for us. We were kind of at the point, I guess, where we'd kind of reached the invisible ceiling, and it was to the point of the detriment to the band. We're not getting, you know, it's harder to get the bigger book shows like the Jonathan Rosses and those ones if you're not a known kind of face. So the opportunity for The Voice that came around was, we all sat around as a band and talked about it. Okay, well, what's the pros and cons here? The pros are, right, you're going to be thrust into the limelight here and you're not going to have a second for yourself. But the other side of it is that on a TV show that has a lot of credibility, you're going to be 1/4 of this panel.
Yeah.
And we were kind of thinking, well, who else is on the panel? You have will.i.am, who's in a group. You got Tom Jones solo, Jessie, who's a solo female. But there's nobody from a band on any of the panels, on any of the shows. You know, we were like, that's a really interesting thing, that it's supposed to be the music industry, but there's nobody from when I say a band, I mean an instrument playing band.
Yes.
Will's in a group, but that, you know, that's the difference.
Yeah.
If it wasn't us, I would have said, you know, Kelly from Stereophonics should go on there, somebody from an actual band. You know, we did The Voice, and then it just went through the roof. The interest in the band. I think people might have thought, I don't know, for some reason, that we're put together or we're a pop band and we don't write our own stuff. And I think what the show
because that has
been
the case for quite a number of bands.
Yeah. So you know, getting our ethos across, the fact that we are 100% about music. We don't care about looks. You know, an image is important, yes, but looks aren't. And I think the more people got to know us and our way of thinking, is the more the appetite now for the script is incredible. And we've always set the mantra of, we would just love to have everybody in the world hear a script song once, at least once, make it remind you might like it or not. And that was the next step. And since then, the outpour of, you know, Irish kids coming up to me going, you know what, I'm after learning the guitar the way you played it on that, or I'm playing the piano the same way you did it, and nobody's turning around saying, oh, I spin around in my chairs exactly like you. Do you know what I mean? So there's cause and effect.
It's about the music, yeah.
It's always has
really
been. You know, a byproduct of that is, I guess, there's a massive appetite for you and your life, and as much as you want to offer up just musically, they tend to want to go behind it and have a look around. So it's, you know, it's a byproduct of it. It's something that we are prepared for, and again, it's a posh problem. People are interested, you know.
Do you enjoy it? Do you hate it?
I genuinely enjoy it. The people coming up to us on the street, you know, is a fantastic and amazing thing. I've yet to have anybody walk up to me and say, "I hate your band."
Yeah, it's never been
honestly,
negative people.
I hear other bands all the time going, "Oh my God, we had a bad time at that festival," or "That crowd wasn't the best." We've had the most amazing fans response, and I think it's just because of music. It's because we aren't. There's no.
Glenn, is it true that you denied being in the band at one stage?
One time in a lift, and I was just after getting out of bed.
St. Peter here now.
I was, I looked a bit untoward and dishevelled. And it was like, you in the band? I was like, no, that's not me. But I think they knew it was me. But that was the only time. I just looked really unhealthy, so to speak.
Oh, it wasn't that you were saying stay away from me?
No.
Didn't a woman make advances at you?
Oh, God. I don't
plenty
know.
of women made advances at him.
That was probably the incident in the airport a week or two ago.
It could have been. It happens all the time.
You described that better than I would.
It happens all the time. But we had a weird case. You know, occasionally people come want a photograph.
Yeah.
Sign something, a few words, and we're on our way. And we tend not to go into the VIP lounges and all the stuff in the airport. We just go to McDonald's, or we eat out and have
we
a
like to
laugh.
eat healthy, you know.
We meet people, and then a girl come up, really pretty girl too, where she comes up and she wants the autographs and wants all that. And we do it with all the pleasantries, and she feels so awkward. She doesn't know what to do, and she just grabs Glenn's hand and kissed his hand. It was
very strange.
It was like she was meeting the Queen. She kissed his hand and then said this. She goes,